And let's see if it's going. So I guess my first thing I wanted to mention was I was really happy that everyone threw in their honest answers in the chat, just as Spencer mentioned. A background of why I wanted to talk about this today was because I was doing itinerant for the last 5 years, and I couldn't confidently say I understood what BARD and Bookshare were. And I never really wanted to ask because I felt like I was supposed to already be the expert of it and just didn't know. And I felt like it was kind of hard to figure it out. And I felt like I asked Garrett or Jared Leslie, 5 times a year, like if they could explain it to me. So if anything, this is just something that I felt passionate about. And I was actually really glad to hear that everyone didn't really know a lot about it because I wanted to share it with you. So I'm going to share my screen again. Just give me 1 second. Does anybody have a student that is currently set up with BARD or Bookshare?
No, I have 4 or 5 Bookshare kids.
Nice. I'm trying to figure out share screen. There we go. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. Perfect. So we're talking about BARD and Bookshare. So these are both library services for the blind. So Bookshare we'll talk about, and BARD is a service within the National Library Service for the blind and print disabled. So we're going to kind of go through a little background about what is National Library Service. So the National Library Service for the blind and print disabled, also referred to as NLS. It was established in 1930 under the Library of Congress. So it's a federal program, and the Library of Congress was established in 1800. So I have a couple of pictures on the screen. Our students with Trailblazers got to visit the National Library Service for the blind and print disabled when we went to Washington, D.C., and you can see in the lower picture, it says the Library of Congress. There's also a picture of some of the students feeling a tactile map of National Mall. And so NLS administers the free National Library program that provides Braille and recorded materials to people who cannot see regular print or handle print materials. And so these materials can be downloaded or even sent to your door. When we were in DC, we got a little background of the history. NLS has been doing this since 1930. And so some of the things, this is kind of showing some old school versions of how they would get material. They would get it in these audio players. You can see it's like a record player, and it would have an audio book on it. So this is before Audible, before major tech. You can see it, one of our students is holding just kind of like almost like a briefcase, and that was sent as free matter for the blind. And it was property of the U.S. government, and it would have tapes and recordings so that somebody could access books. And then also a picture on the right. These were called talking rooms. So all these men are gathered around one of the machines so that they could all listen to a book together. So that's a little bit of background about the National Library Service. Another cool little thing, Samuel Gridley Howe, definitely a great person to remember in our history, or in the history of education for the blind. He was just an American physician, but he was a huge educator and advocate. He founded what is known as the which is what is now known as Perkins School for the Blind. He encouraged state legislators to establish public facilities for the education of blind. And he was the one that really urged Congress to create funds for services like National Library Service. When we were in DC, I thought it was cool to see his name kind of on the ceiling of a vault in the Library of Congress, because he was considered one of 10 men that were distinguished educators in the world. So kind of cool that he's such a big part of history. So we'll jump right in. BARD stands for Braille and Audio Reading Download. And this is a program through National Library Service. So it's a web-based program. It provides access to thousands of special formatted books, magazines, and musical scores. And it's operated as a partnership between National Library Service and cooperating local libraries. So to kind of go into that, and you all have a copy of this so that you can review it again later because it's a lot of info. So NLS, and I have kind of a side-by-side comparison, National Library Service is a federal government entity and it's funded by Congress, whereas a cooperating local library is state or regional that's funded in different ways. NLS maintains the government, website resources. They upload titles, supplies, and the cooperating or local libraries, they approve reader applications. So if you have a student in Arizona that wants BARD services or to be able to access BARD, they would go through the cooperating local library. So to be able to get the Braille and audio reading download program, you first have to enroll as an NLS patron. So basically all you have to do is just click the link that I provided in this PowerPoint you will all have. You go to this website, you just fill in student info, click submit, super easy online. Then once your student is a patron, then they can apply for BARD. So our local or regional library is called the Arizona Talking Book Library. Now, has anyone, just use the chat feature, has anyone ever heard of Arizona Talking Book Library before? Raise a hand if so, or say yes in the chat. Carla said no. Okay. Taylor, yes. Fred, yes. Joe, yes. Kelly, yes. Okay, good. Taylor says no. So every state is going to have a different local library. California has multiple because it's so big. And so they have lots of different regions. Depending on what region you're in would be which library would provide you with material. So this is kind of fun. Going back to, I signed up one of my students it's one of Claire's students that she has. And I signed her up for BARD. And the Arizona Talking Book Library is what would supply all the materials. Is an actual building. It's in Arizona. It's in Phoenix. And on the picture on the right, they provide you with a talking book player, which Spencer earlier today referred to it as a dinosaur player. It just looks kind of clunky and old. And it's basically just a tactile kind of cassette player, and it's a bit old school. So they sent this to my student automatically, without, asking, would you like one? It's just they automatically send it to the student. And when I was telling the parent, hey, I'm signing her up for BARD, they were like, yeah, we got this cassette player. We don't know how to work it. We don't want to use the service. And I just had to explain to them, look, we just need to send it back. If you don't want it, that's fine. Don't use it. But you can access BARD through online and through apps. So in Arizona, once you're registered with BARD, like I said, you will automatically receive that talking book player in the mail. And BARD has 115,000 audio and Braille books or titles, fiction, nonfiction, that you can access. So you can access these by going online on your computer to download the files that you would need to read. Or you can use your phone. A student could use their phone and go to the BARD mobile app, and they can access audiobooks as well as Braille books online, which we will talk about in a couple minutes. So BARD Express, this is basically, you can access books online, download them. I just put a little picture of what that looks like, what the program is, and it's just on Windows-based computers. BARD Mobile, I would say, is probably the most popular out of all the apps we're going to talk about today. Spencer even uses it so that he can understand how to help his student use it. So basically, on the app, the student can look for books. They could look for Harry Potter. They could look for probably any literature book. They can find it, and they can, you can kind of see it has like an old school kind of version that's accessible with voiceover, but they could play, they could rewind, you can bookmark different things, and it kind of sets the book up so that you can easily find your place again. So does anybody have Audible or, listen to any books in an auditory format, whether that's with iBooks, Audible? Any audio learners in here? Kelly says yes. I see a couple others. Nice. So this is great, and it's free for our students. So they don't have to have an account that they're paying anything for. It's free for them because they have a vision impairment. And okay, so next we're going to talk about, so that was BARD. Does anybody have any questions so far about BARD? Good. Okay.
Sorry, I have a question, Melanie.
Yes.
So is BARD, this is just like for kids who want to read for recreation and leisure? Like for fun?
Yep.
Okay.
That's like the primary, focus.
Okay. So it's just like
is-
books that they could find if they're into reading.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes. Taylor.
So is this, so BARD mobile and what you showed us with like the whole cassette thing, that's the same program?
Yep.
Okay. So whenever they would like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Whenever they would sign up for the program, would they also get the cassette, or could you just opt for the mobile?
Spencer and I were talking about this. You automatically will get an account to log in to BARD, but they automatically send you the cassette, and then most people don't want it, so you can just send it back to them. But you don't need to you don't have to say I just want mobile. You'll already have access, like an account set up to get into BARD, and you can access it online. Spencer, did you want to add anything on that?
No, it's weird. It's kind of a longer process than it feels like it should be. I would say just stay patient and and keep kind of pressing away. They are responsive, and they get back to you pretty quickly as far as getting you approved for the National Library Services, and then you can go through and apply through the BARD app. There is a few tutorials that I think Melanie will share in our resources folder.
Okay, thank you. Is the BARD mobile app good? Like, can you use it on iPads as well? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Android and Apple devices, Apple mobile devices. So now we're going to run into Bookshare. And is everyone good? Spencer, is it okay if I go to 340? If okay?
Yeah.
Cool. If anyone needs to jump off, we will have this saved as a recording in one of the itinerant files. So Bookshare is our second library service we're going to be talking about. So this one is different. It is not federally funded. So Bookshare, and we'll talk about the differences. Bookshare makes Bookshare makes reading easier, and it's kind of for a broader group. It's for people with dyslexia, blindness, cerebral palsy, other reading barriers, that they can customize their experience to suit their learning style and find virtually any book they need for school, work, or the joy of reading. So this is for a bigger group. So this is used a lot in special ed for students maybe with a reading disability, they said dyslexia. So it's not a government employee-run program, but it is supported by the U.S. Department of Ed Special Ed Office. So a couple of differences. You can customize your reading. So with audio, highlighted text, braille, large font, other formats. BARD has 100 1,000 titles. Bookshare has 1 million book titles, so it's the largest library of textbooks. You can read anywhere, so you can, like BARD, you could read on, you know, a smartphone, a tablet, Windows computer, and other assistive tech devices. BARD is, like I said, BARD was free, and Bookshare is free for qualified students. So typically a school will have an account with Bookshare. The school might pay for it, depending, you know, maybe if it's public or private. But if you're an adult, you can spend $1 per week on this, but that's if you qualify for the program. Okay, with Bookshare, they're not going to send you a dinosaur talking book cassette player from the 90s and 80s, but they are going to give you an account where you can go online, but you can also download different apps to access Bookshare. So Bookshare doesn't have their own Android or iOS app, but you use other apps with your Bookshare account to access it. One time I was working with a student and I didn't know much about Bookshare, so kudos to Alex. He had her the year before and he had already set her up with Bookshare, and she was using the Dolphin Easy Reader app. So you see that as one of the apps you could download for the student. And they were able to customize it to her, basically to her functional vision. She preferred it in a certain size and a certain color with a highlight. So a couple of cool things about Bookshare. I'm going to highlight the app that I was sharing with you about, Dolphin Easy Reader. So like I said, Bookshare doesn't have its own app, but it uses other apps that you can use your account. So Dolphin Easy Reader is an app you can download, and you can see on the left there is white font on a blue background with a red highlight. So it kind of has like that karaoke style highlighting. As it's reading aloud, it's also moving what word is being read as a highlight. So a student maybe with dyslexia or is learning print is able to follow along and recognize sight words. You can customize fonts, text size, color scheme. So this is great. Maybe for doing an FVA would be a really cool tool. And then also you can just see it's just an easy way you can add all of your books. So sometimes this would be more kind of used for also if a student needs a school book, you can also sometimes find them on Bookshare. So if a student needs an online version of a book, sometimes the school district will get it from Bookshare. If they can't find it on Bookshare or they need it in print, that's when they'll maybe come to our media center and say, hey, can you make this book in large print for us? So I am going to kind of do a comparison between BARD and Bookshare. And this is just a teacher review, and I'll share my student review. So just a comparison, I'll read about BARD first. So BARD is free if you're registered as a National Library Service patron. It provides Braille and audio format. I think it's a better application for students using an audio format. It's not great for large print readers that are reading only print. So it's really good for Braille and audio. You're able to use it with an electronic Braille device, such as an NLS Braille e-reader, which we'll talk about. And BARD has its own mobile app for website and website for downloading titles, and it has 100,000 titles. Bookshare, on the other hand, our second library service, is free for students that qualify. You can customize the reading, like we said, the font, highlighting, and you can also get the text version of the book. So with BARD, you can't download the full text of the book, but Bookshare, a student could go online, they could download the whole book, and it basically will pop up as a Word doc. And that could be easily read with a screen reader like JAWS or VoiceOver, or maybe a Braille display. Bookshare is on the web. It's you can download titles for your computer. It also has mobile devices. It doesn't have its own app, but you would download kind of a third-party app to log into your Bookshare account to get all of your books. And there's about 1 million, there's over 1 million titles available, and it's the largest library. And I asked a couple students what their take on BARD and BOOKSHARE was, and for them to explain it. And so I asked 2 of my students who read a lot, and one of them said with BARD, the app can be slow and glitchy sometimes, but it's easier to use than BOOKSHARE. They also said it's set up so that audiobooks are read by a human narrator and books move really smoothly. So it's kind of like Audible. Somebody's actually reading the book. You can hear the inflection in someone's voice. With BOOKSHARE, students would prefer BARD if they're using book narration, because BOOKSHARE is mostly just text to speech. So it's more of, it's that computer automated screen reading. So audiobooks kind of come out funky, and the different fonts can cause a lag in the audio reading. So for students that are primarily using this for audio format, don't like BOOKSHARE. They would prefer BARD. But students who are large print readers generally prefer BOOKSHARE. One student said BOOKSHARE is better for books in school because you're getting the actual text of the book that can be in large print or read with a screen reader. Also, it can be read with a Braille display. So, does anybody have any questions about the differences between BARD and BOOKSHARE so far? Sweet. I will, Fred says, oh, so far so good. Nice. So we're going to do a little quiz in just a second. One more thing that I think you guys will think is cool. When I went to DC, we went to the National Library Service, and they told us, I think it was like a couple days before, they just started making this a new thing. So the HumanWare Brilliant BI 20 Braille display is free for someone who's a patron with NLS. So one of my students who went on the trip thought that was incredible. That was amazing. She was no longer in high school, so she didn't have access to maybe a free device, maybe unless vocational rehab got it for her. She was so ecstatic. She called NLS, or she called Arizona Talking Book Library the next day when we got back, and she got it that week. So this brilliant Braille display, it belongs to her now, and she can use it for reading, and it's originally $2,000. So it worked out. Actually, 2 of my students got these right after they got back from DC. Awesome resource for students, especially going into college, that might have to return electronic Braille displays back to their school or MLB program. So everyone, I hope you all were paying attention. We're going to kind of go through and check for understanding. And if we don't all get it, we'll kind of go back and explain. So can anyone either can somebody raise their hand if you're too shy, you can type it in. What does NLS stand for in short? Nice. All right. We got National Library Service. Perfect. You all are correct. Very good. National Library Service for short. The long version, National Library Service for the blind and print disabled. Good job, everyone. All right. So everyone get your chat feature ready. I'll give you all a second. BOOKSHARE or BARD, which one? So which program is affiliated with the National Library Service? Awesome. Good job, Taylor. Everyone's throwing it in there. Joe says Brad. Nice. BARD. Very good, everyone. I got it. Perfect. Good job. BARD. Braille Audio Reading Download. What is the name of our state's NLS cooperating local library in Arizona? Nice, Fred, Kelly, Arizona Talking. Good. Good job, everyone. Joe, good job. It's on 32nd Street. It is. Arizona Talking Book Library. I like the all caps, Kelly's. That was good. Awesome. All right, we have a couple more and then we'll let you guys go. Bookshare or BARD? Which program has the larger library of book titles? Nice, Taylor, Kelly, Abby, Joe, Carla. Bookshare. Great job, guys. All right, we have another one. Oh no. Oh wait, oh that's the answer. Sorry. Bookshare. I thought I already gave you guys the answer. All right. Bookshare has 1 million titles. BARD has 115,000. All right, sorry. Next question. I'm getting confused. Bookshare or BARD, which program has its own mobile app? Nice. Everyone is really, really quick. Perfect. We're going from like 1 out of 10 to 10 out of 10. Fred says, you beat me, Kelly. Nice. It is BARD. Very good. All right, I think we have 2 more. BARD mobile. Kelly says, I was just going to say we should see what all of our word per minute typing is. I wish we were all together. I'd be tossing out all this extra chocolate I have in my office. All right, so here comes another question. Bookshare or BARD, which program provides the text version of a book for download? Bookshare. Nice. You guys got it. Sweet. It is Bookshare. All right, this last one, I will try not to say the answer so quick. All right, here's the next one. What was the iOS or Android app that a student may use for reading titles from Bookshare? Do you remember the app that I highlighted? I knew Alex was going to get it. Nice. And we have the Dolphin Easy Reader. Very good. Sweet. So that kind of concludes my presentation. Everyone did an awesome job. I was excited that you guys everyone got those right, which was really cool. So hopefully this helps everyone kind of jumpstart into looking into getting their students signed up with Bookshare, BARD. The links for getting students signed up with BARD are going to be in the Kelly's throwing in typing test, wants to see who can type the fastest. Can this be everyone's homework? Yes. Everyone take a typing test and let us know. But hopefully this helps you all to use these awesome resources for students, especially our emerging readers. This is huge and gets accessible material at their fingertips really fast. So does anybody have any questions? Hopefully Spencer and I can answer. Alex is a big Bookshare guy. Maybe while you guys are thinking of a question, Spencer, can you tell us your review since you use BARD on a regular basis?
Yeah, I use it for personal purposes. You're able to like each individual is able to add on a guest. So I have a friend that uses BARD and was able to add me on. So the app is super straightforward and easy to use. Like we said, getting there is a little bit of a laborious process going through NLS first, but the little bit of effort that it takes is well worth the return. So high quality audiobooks.
Nice. Awesome. And let's see here. I'll just share my screen real quick. So in itinerant services, what we chatted about today, we made a BARD and BOOKSHARE folder. Spencer and I will keep adding resources here for you all. The PowerPoint I used will be here. We'll also drop the video in here for reference of this meeting. Spencer has a couple resources for getting signed up with BARD. Hopefully that helps. We don't have anything in the BOOKSHARE folder, but we will have that soon, as well as the student quick view is its own folder in resources. There's an example and a template. And so you guys can we just asked you guys would download them so that you can use them for yourself. Check back for it tomorrow because I have to update the QR code to the YouTube video to explain the expanded core curriculum. So that will be there for you all. So thank you guys for joining me on this afternoon. Kind of a lot of info, but I was really excited that you guys caught on really fast, and hopefully we'll be seeing 10 out of 10 comfortability wise on these awesome resources. So awesome. Thanks, Taylor and Kelly.
Thanks, Melanie.
Abby.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you, Melanie. That was
Thank you
it was
guys.
super good information. Thank you.
Awesome.
And I learned everyone's a super fast typer.
Exactly.
But-
Great. Thank you guys.
See you guys.